Moon Pies with Top 8 and AllThingsFlorida.com with the Top 8 Universal Orlando rides that closed too soon. Number 8, Skipper Island Cruises. Now, few people know that when Islands of Adventure opened in 1999, there was actually a boat transportation ride that would take you from port of entry right in front of Confisco's Grill, just by the entrance of Seuss Landing, and would drop you off right in the back entrance of Jurassic Park. Well, it only lasted a couple years, and while most people figured, hey, it's a lot quicker to walk this very easily walkable park than to take a boat, it did offer some pretty cool vistas out in the open waters where you can see all the islands all around you. Number 7, Terminator 2 3D. Closing in 2017, this was the popular attraction that featured the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie Terminator 2. And of course, it actually had live action, which was pretty cool, where Arnold would board, basically, an actor playing Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, would come in and hop on a motorcycle and drive around and save Sarah and Connor and her son. Yeah. With a lot of cool things, and a cool effect at the end where the whole theater would just it was like an explosion, and all the seats would actually sink just a little bit. Pretty cool effect. Number 6, Triceratops Encounter. Now, this is only the second ride from Islands of Adventure that makes the cut, because the park is pretty new, and there haven't been a lot of changes there. But Triceratops Encounter was in Jurassic Park, and it was there where you'd actually meet a Triceratops. One was called Sarah, and I forget the name of the other two, but you would actually go into a holding pen where they had this huge audio animatronic Triceratops, and they would go through the process of explaining how they would eat, and of course they would even poop, they would sneeze, they went through a lot of cool little effects. It was a very cool thing, but of course it was hard to maintain, and it was a slow-moving attraction, even though they had about as many as 3 Triceratops they could guide people to. Still a wacky, almost roadside attraction that really felt out of place, but really if you think about the whole Jurassic Park experience, it's a shame it closed down. It's pretty much right now where they have the Raptor Encounter experience, but it actually went a little deeper than that. Number 5, Twister. Now, Twister is based on the popular movie based on tornadoes, and it took place in a theater that once hosted Ghostbusters show, which is another popular show, but not on this list. And of course, the neat thing about Twister is that you had Bill Paxton, now deceased Bill Paxton, rest in peace, brother. And Bill Paxton would actually go in, and of course Helen Hunt, and you would actually go with them, and you'd go through the old town in Kansas. There's a little clip on how they made the movie and how Twister's hit while the movie is going on, and then you find yourself in a holding room which looks just like a gas station with a drive-in theater in the distance, and then boom, the Twister starts, and so you're sitting, there are 2 platforms. If you stayed on the top platform, you got a little wet, but everywhere you were standing, there was a lot of wind, and then before you know it, boom, a flying cow. It's technically it was a milk advertising cow, so it's not like they were even trying to pretend that it was a real cow that they were moving. They were pretending that it was a pretend cow. So PETA probably had nothing to say about it. But it was a pretty cool thing, a pretty cool experience. And you walked away pretty exhilarated because, you had this breeze coming through, and it was pretty good on a hot summer day. And also you had the cool little water effect too. And of course it was lightning, so there was fire, and fire struck the oil, something that we see in a couple other Universal rides. So that was Twister, which now is the Jimmy Fallon ride, for better or worse. Number 4, Kong. Now, of course, I'm not talking about Skull Island Kong that opened at Islands of Adventure in 2016. This is the original Kong. That is now where the Mummy ride was. And this was pretty cool, where you actually were evacuating Roosevelt Island by tram. And you had to get in just as Kong is attacking New York City. So you actually boarded a tram, and they go through the whole process. And before you know it, Kong is right there and actually manages to save you because you're falling, and he catches you. Long before Spider-Man caught you, long before Bumblebee and Transformer caught you, Kong was there to catch your fall from the tram and save the day. And he had banana breath too. Pretty cool aspect of that Kong, the huge Kong. Number 3, Jaws. Now, Jaws, some people would say probably should rank higher on this list because it is the most iconic, probably the most missed attraction of everything there. You would actually board a little Amity tour that would go through. Before you know it, you drive through Amity, and hey, look, there's a boat that's been attacked. Oh no, you're going to be in the boathouse and avoid the attack. No, but the shark, Jaws, knows how to find you. And before you know it, you go out there and you finally, again, another fire and oil ending. where you actually do save the day, escape. You actually escape, and it's a cool experience. You actually boarded a boat that was on a track, but you know, a tracked course, sort of like Jungle Cruise. But this obviously was Jungle Cruise on propane. I guess I was going to say on steroids, but I guess propane is more appropriate. But of course, the only reason Jaws is number 3 instead of not number 1 is because it became the whole Diagon Alley expansion. So we got the Escape from Gringotts, the cool restaurants and shops, and the experience that Universal eventually put in that place. Number 2, Dragon's Challenge, which before that was Dueling Dragons. Now, this ride, some people will argue, was already gone because it was a long time ago, a few years ago. So it was an accident on the ride, and so they stopped dueling anymore. So because someone got, basically something flew out of someone's pocket and fell into, actually knocked the guy's eye out. They did have to change Dueling Dragons so that they no longer duel anymore. And it became Dragon's Challenge when the Harry Potter thing came around with a bit of a Quidditch feel to it, where it was originally Fire Dragon or Ice Dragon, then they got renamed for Potter Universe characters. But one of the coolest things about Dragon's Challenge was the line, where you actually went through this castle, where you go through the process of then seeing what the Fire and the Ice Dragons have done. So it's going to open in 2019 as a cool Harry Potter themed, a family-friendly roller coaster. So, well, let's reserve judgment. But the coolest thing about Dragon's Challenge is that it was 2 distinct roller coasters. There wasn't just 2 mirror images of each other. These are 2 unique rides, each one. And it was a capacity beast. Up to 2,400 people an hour would be able to experience that coaster. Whatever they have there is definitely not going to come anywhere even close to that. And number 1, Back to the Future. Now, where the Simpsons are now, before that, it was a similar attraction where you boarded a car, 8 people at a time, and you experienced a trip with Back to the Future. And of course, you had all the characters. You had Doc, and you had the Michael J. Fox character, and Biff, and you basically just were going through time, and you saw a dinosaur well before Jurassic Park. You got to experience an up-close experience with a dinosaur and drive around as basically Biff tries to throw you off course. It was a pretty fun ride, and of course, a lot of people described it sort of shaking at the end of a stick. But now with Back to the Future, still a popular franchise, at least nostalgic speaking, it's people miss it. So Back to the Future, you get number 1. And at this point, I should probably point out that there's some honorable mentions here that did not make the cut. The Alfred Hitchcock Show, which is now where the Shrek's 3D show is. The Nickelodeon Studios Tour, which is this cool place you can actually go get slimed and have young people in the audience and go and participate in little Nickelodeon-type games. That closed and that became the Blue Man Group Theater. We already talked about the Ghostbusters show. There was a Beetlejuice Graveyard Review. And that show plays, along with the Earthquake and Disaster Simulator, which is another one that gets an honorable mention, are becoming the Fast and the Furious ride that's going in the spring of 2018. And, of course, there's the whole, the Hanna-Barbera and the Jimmy Neutron rides, which are awesome rides and would have definitely made the list, if not for the fact that it's the same technology, same ride system that's currently in place with the Minions, the Despicable Me attraction right now. And of course, there's also the Psycho House and all that. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can no longer experience at Universal Orlando. But the cool thing is that the big reason for can't experience these things is because the park itself, the resort itself, has expanded to some new cool things that you'll get to check out in the years to come. So that's it. That is the top 8 things you can no longer go on Universal Orlando because they closed too soon. This is Moon Pies with Top 8 and allthingsflorida.com. See you later. Out.